You are standing in a line with 100 other men. Somewhere ahead of you, machine guns are waiting. You know this. Everyone around you knows this. And yet, when the whistle blows, you climb the ladder anyway. That single moment has confused historians for a century. Why would a rational person walk directly into gunfire when every instinct in the human body is built to do the opposite? The answer is not bravery, not really. The answer is something far stranger, and that is still hiding inside your own brain today. Start with the obvious question. Humans are wired to survive. Every cell in your body is the product of ancestors who ran from danger successfully enough times to reproduce. So how does an army convince thousands of men to override that wiring on command? The military historian S.L.A. Marshall spent years interviewing World War II infantry right after combat, and what he found reshaped how armies train soldiers to this day. Most men, left alone, did not fire their weapons even when directly threatened. Something else had to be built into them first. That something is not courage, it is proximity. Psychologist and army historian Dave Grossman, who studied this exact question decades later, found that a soldier's willingness to advance under fire depends almost entirely on the people standing beside him. Not the flag, not the cause, not even the enemy. The man to his left and the man to his right. Grossman called this the primary group bond, and it turns out to be stronger than almost every other instinct humans carry. Think about why that makes sense. For most of human history, you did not survive as an individual. You survived as a member of a small, tight group of maybe 15 to 50 people. Your ancestors who abandoned that group when things got dangerous did not pass on their genes. The ones who stayed, who fought to protect the tribe even at personal cost, did. Somewhere in your nervous system today, there is still a piece of code left over from that world. Abandon the group, and something ancient inside you registers it as a kind of death, even if your body would technically survive. Armies figured this out long before psychologists gave it a name. Roman legions did not train soldiers as individuals. They trained them inside a contrabanium, a tent group of 8 men who ate together, marched together, and fought together for years. By the time they reached the battlefield, the man beside you was not a stranger wearing the same uniform. He was closer than family. Historian Adrian Goldsworthy, who has spent his career studying the Roman military, has written about how this structure mattered more to battlefield performance than weapons or tactics ever did. A legion was not really an army of individuals who happened to be brave. It was a machine built entirely out of loyalty. Now, picture the whistle again, the order to advance. Here's the part your brain does not want to admit. In that instant, the soldier is not weighing his own survival against the mission. He's weighing his own survival against the shame of being watched by the men beside him. Sociologists studying combat behavior have found this pattern again and again. Fear of death is powerful. Fear of visible cowardice in front of people whose respect you have spent months earning can be even more powerful. This is where the story gets uncomfortable, because it means the bravest moment in human history was never really about bravery at all. It was about belonging. Consider Pickett's charge at Gettysburg, one of the most infamous suicidal advances in military history. Roughly 12,000 Confederate soldiers walked across open ground directly into concentrated artillery and rifle fire. More than half of them did not return. Survivors, when interviewed decades later, rarely described the moment in terms of duty to a cause. They described it watching the man beside them keep walking, and finding it impossible to be the one who stopped. Modern militaries have taken this discovery and built entire training systems around it. Boot camp is not primarily designed to teach weapons handling. It's designed to break down your old identity and replace it with a new one built around the unit. Sleep deprivation, shared suffering, synchronized movement, all of it exists to accelerate a bond that would normally take years to form naturally. Grossman's research suggests this is precisely why modern firing rates in combat rose so dramatically compared to earlier wars. Not because soldiers became less afraid of dying, but because they became more afraid of failing the group standing next to them. Here's where it gets strange, because this wiring did not disappear when wars ended. It just moved. Firefighters run into burning buildings for the same reason. Not fearlessness, but an unwillingness to let their crew walk in without them. Emergency room doctors describe a similar pull during mass casualty events. A sense of stepping back is somehow more unbearable than stepping forward. Even in ordinary office life, researchers studying workplace behavior have found employees will work themselves into exhaustion, sacrificing sleep and health, largely to avoid letting down a small team they feel personally connected to. You've probably felt a small, harmless version of this yourself, staying late at a job not because you cared about the company, but because you didn't want to be the one who left your coworkers to finish the work alone. That flicker of obligation is built from the exact same ancient circuitry that once marched men into artillery fire. The scale is different, the wiring underneath is not. There's a darker side to this discovery too, one that historians and psychologists are careful to point out. The same bond that makes soldiers advance under fire can also make ordinary people commit atrocities they would never consider alone. Group loyalty doesn't know the difference between courage and cruelty. It simply amplifies whatever the group is already doing. This is why military ethics training today spends as much time on accountability as it does on obedience, because the instinct to follow the group can be turned on almost anything. So, the next time you see footage of soldiers charging into what looks like certain death, resist the urge to call it simple bravery. What you're actually watching is one of the oldest survival mechanisms in the human species, misfiring in the most extreme circumstance imaginable. A system built to keep a small tribe alive on the savannah, now aimed at a battlefield it was never designed for. Tonight, you'll probably do something small for a friend or a coworker that costs you more than it should. You'll stay a little later, carry a little more weight, take on a little more risk than logic alone would justify. You'll tell yourself it's loyalty, or kindness, or duty. It's also something older than any of those words. It's the same force that once sent 100 men up a hill into artillery fire, quietly asking you the same question it has always asked. Would you really be the one who stayed behind?